Governor, welcome to New Hampshire.
Thank you.
What brings you here?
Well, started up a website, ouramericainitiative.com. So that's a 501c4, of which I'm the honorary chairman. And the purpose of the 501c4 is to be able to speak out on the issues of the day. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm here in New Hampshire talking about the issues of the day, and I'm grateful to be able to do that.
I think I've got some idea, but what are the issues of the day?
Well, I bet you do, and everybody else does too. I think it starts off with the economy. I think it starts off with the spending, the deficit, of course, coupled with that, taxes. Right now, taxes are just going up everywhere to make up for shortfalls, at least in our state legislatures. We're dealing with shortfalls by having to cut the spending. Federal government needs to cut the spending first, but I'm afraid the federal government's just printing money, and of course we're taking on record deficit. The deficit's due to double from $12 trillion today to $24 trillion in the next 10 years, and I realize I'm rounding off here. But we're also looking at $55 trillion in unfunded mandated liability. Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, these are issues that need to be addressed, and they're really not being addressed. They're being addressed by adding on to the deficit, not actually taking away from it.
Healthcare was the dominant issue down in Massachusetts this week. It seems to be the dominant issue in Washington right now. What do you see as the proper role of the federal government in healthcare?
Actually bringing about free market reforms for healthcare. What I heard when it came to the healthcare debate was we need to lower costs. Well, to lower costs, we really need to bring free market ideas to healthcare. So for me, that meant perhaps gallbladders are us. Coming to Manchester for a $2,000 gallbladder surgery from New Mexico, maybe it was going to cost me a plane ride, but getting a $2,000 surgery that may have otherwise cost tens of thousands of dollars. So what I heard was healthcare reform, not insurance entitlement, which is what I think that we ended up with. Government could be doing a lot to blow the lid off of supply when it comes to healthcare. As healthcare was laid out before the election of Scott Brown, really we were looking at dumping 30 million more consumers on a market that had a limited supply. In my opinion, it was going to result in rationing and higher costs.
You've warned the Republican Party not to take the big win in a special election in Massachusetts as a mandate for the Republican Party.
Well, I think it would be a mistake for any Republican to believe that because Scott Brown got elected, that the nation is now turning to Republicans for solutions. I think the nation is full up with politicians, whether they be Republicans or Democrats. And that Scott Brown's election was really one of saying no to the current health care reform. Again, I saw a poll just a few days ago that Republicans are held in just as low esteem as they ever have, along with Democrats, and that, again, I think what people really want to see is common sense. I think people really want to see spending stopped. Nobody's forgetting that Republicans had control of Congress and the Senate and the White House, and in the process of having control of all those two branches, that Republicans ran up record deficits. Something that I'm not proud of. I don't think anything that Republicans are proud of. Today, though, that record spending, those deficits seem paltry compared to what's happening today. And I think people are fed up. I think people are absolutely fed up.
Outside of healthcare, which you addressed obviously, what do you see as the proper role for government, and the federal government in particular?
Well, the government has a role to provide, number one, national defense. government has a role to secure our borders, if you will. In that context, I don't think our national defense is being threatened, our national security is being threatened in either Iraq or Afghanistan. But again, that should be a role of government. Government has a role to provide a level playing field for you and I when it comes to us being able to participate in the American dream. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. The notion that we would have equal access to being able to get into business and run a business, to make it as easy as they possibly can on everybody that wants to compete in a real free market system. I think that government has all too often granted special privileges to corporate interests rather than this notion of equality for all. That hasn't always happened. So that's the role of government. That should be the role of government.
Have you had a chance to review the Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case?
I haven't, and I'm not sure what the ramifications of that are. It is a Supreme Court decision, and I think it's important constitutionally to appoint Supreme Court justices that are going to interpret the original intent of the Constitution. So I think too often when politicians see the Supreme Court rule against what it is that they might believe, that they would want to see rulings from the bench. I believe that the Supreme Court is supposed to interpret the Constitution, and I see already so many politicians again rendering judgment that this is not constitutional. Well, this is the intent of the Supreme Court, and it should be the intent to appoint judges that are in fact going to rule on the original intent of the Constitution.